if there's anything about government, and I'm not being anti-government here, is that there's bureaucracy. And you don't want bureaucracy involved because what you're already having is something small from each company. You don't want to take away something more from that. Make it online. I'm saying this is just my opinion. You make it online. You make it simple. One person looking for something can find another company offering that for free. What SBF would do, vet the identities of those who are within the network, perhaps limit the membership to only those who are members of the SBF, but do nothing aside from that. So maintain the network, but stand aside.
I think it's perhaps a rather simplistic view, if you don't mind my saying, of the SBF's capability. Because the SBF is an incredibly diverse and an incredibly well-equipped organization. And in fact, Esther shared with me many programs that they already have. But as I say, the key thing is the network. You know, how do we structure a network such that it serves all of those people all at once? Right? Now, as you talk about a club, I think it's very important that we work to define what are CSR best practices. So the companies that do come to the SBF saying we'd like to get involved in CSR have a guide as to how they may do that best. And you know, to say they meet that standard, or say they, you know, oh, we've found that what they propose has a great amount of impact, we link them up with the beneficiaries. The beneficiaries that through research the people in the SBF identify. You know? Yeah.
Can I say a couple of points? So what this one thing that I see is needed here is, first of all, the identification of the needs from a social issues level. So, you know, understanding what are the different areas of need, not just poor people, but like, you know, what, depends how high level you want to go, right? How systems, 50,000 feet or more, you want to see it. And there's many ways that you can cover those needs, you know, qualitative, quantitative research, using design principles, which we do. And I have to say this because I'm like, it's so painful to hear this discussion not having these inputs. So that's one, understanding the social issues in the first place. Because with all the resources you can amass, you know, what need are you actually meeting, or any need at all. Second is the role of a translator. So being able to say, okay, these are the various needs we have identified. So how do you translate that to a General Mills type engagement, where you say, okay, supply chain strength from these guys, or distribution strength from Coca-Cola, and so on and so forth. And that role of translator, I think, is super important because it's that part of the uncomfortable silence that exists right now between the business industry side. So I used to be in private equity, so it's a very small part of the finance industry, right? So I admit that. But so far, with the few years that we've been in the social sector, we've also seen a lot of the different stakeholders, and it's you can't even use the word the social sector because that's homogenizing it. It's very, very, very diverse. So the role of the translator helps to say, for these needs, what kind of strengths you need, and then from those kinds of strengths, then you say, okay, which companies can fulfill those roles, and then you can start having a more meaningful way of matching.
Yeah.
So just those 2 points that I thought.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely the point. The SBF is just a completely blind linking people up, right? You fail to really maximize the input. You've got people coming to you with very good aims, and perhaps that's the guidance that Esther talks about. You know, so it's very, very important. It's about figuring out exactly what that best practice should be.
I have a question. How do you then look at, you identify the need, you kind of address it. How do you then not get feedback, but look at your kind of the efficiencies and the effectiveness of exactly?
So we use a bunch of different approaches, and one of them that's relevant to this point would be Lean Startup methodology. Have you guys heard of Lean Startup? By Eric Ries. It's a school of thought that originated in Silicon Valley, where they talk about customer development. And what that term, that jargon means, is that how do you know that the solution or the wonderful app, for example, you're developing actually meets the needs of Greg, if he's my target customer, right? So a lot of it is around looking at user behavior, so then you derive behavioral insights from the way they interact with your solution. And the solution may not be an app, maybe it's a service. And then there's a lot, the most important part of it is field testing. So you go out, like after you've developed something, you test it with actual users. So if it's like your old income granny, right? Like, so you go and you actually either walk her through it if it's a service, or like if it's a thing that she can interact with, then you observe how she does that. And then take in the, when she finds something difficult, that's your learning point. Because then you realize that, oh, either the interface needs to be more accessible, or like, hang on, did we just assume that she can speak English? It's very simple things like that. And the way that you even get to that stage is by, first of all,